Time to make the donuts.
Oh, hey there. Don't mind me, I'm just making the donuts. Oh, you don't want to make donuts for 150 people? Well, I tell you what, let me finish these up and I'll be right back to show you how to make a proper amount of these awesome keto donuts. Stick around. Now, I've made chocolate donuts before. I've made apple cider donuts. This here is by far the best donut I've made. It's high protein, it's got a nice amount of fat, and best of all, it's low carb. And one of these ingredients was an absolute surprise. I gotta show you this. Hopefully this is the first time you've seen it. I'm gonna be using Keto Chow's brand new flavor, Classic Cake Donut. It is absolutely amazing, and it just came out. I'm gonna put my code right down there for you in the description. Click on that and go to it, and you better do it fast because this ain't gonna last long. That's why I put that video out so early. I've been drinking on these for a few days now, and I was just itching to tell you what it was, but I couldn't, because this is their surprise drop, and I hope they keep this around as a regular flavor, but you never know. If for some reason you miss it, you can use another protein powder, but it's just not gonna taste the same. This stuff is amazing. Plus, it's got all the vitamins and minerals in it that you need, and you ain't gonna find that in the other ones. If you've seen any of my other donut videos, you probably already got yourself some of these silicone donut molds. Of course, I'll link everything down in the description for you. But since it's getting close to the holidays and everything, I figure the red and the green is quite festive. Now I'm just gonna take a baking pan. I'm gonna put these right on there. Just because once you put the donuts on there, I mean, unless you want to try to do this and walk all the way to the oven, it probably ain't gonna work that good. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these ready. So I'll put those right on there. And I'm gonna spray them down. I got a little bit of this olive oil spray. You can use avocado or whatever you want. Just give them a nice little spray. Don't want your donuts to stick, right? And I'm gonna glaze both of these donuts as well. So I'm gonna show you how to make an easy glaze. And my goal with this is to not use a single pot. I wanna do everything with just the oven and mixing it up. So we'll see how that goes with the glazes. So before we get started, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350 degrees. In the last video where I did that creme brulee was 300, but this is just a normal baking, so we're gonna do 350 degrees, and this is gonna be super simple. So the first thing I gotta do is get Old Yeller. I mean, how you gonna bake anything without Old Yeller? I'm just gonna throw 4 eggs in there. So far, so good, right? You know, we're not building intergalactic rocket ships or anything. We're just making the donuts. So 4 eggs, super simple, right? Then I got 4 tablespoons of butter right here in my favorite little blue coffee cup, the one that I use to melt stuff, because my nice fancy Yellowstone ones get super hot in the microwave. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt this down. And if you don't like the microwave, I guess you're gonna be stuck using the pot, but I'm not. I'm just gonna go ahead and whisk these eggs up, get them all nice and broken down before that butter melts. Now you wanna make sure that butter is not super, super hot because we don't want scrambled eggs. We just wanna mix everything in really, really nice. And it's getting there, right? It's not done yet. Usually when it starts to pop, it's pretty good. And then at that point, I'll let it sit in the microwave while I put everything else in. Now I've got some cream cheese here that I've been sitting out at room temperature for a little while. And with this cream cheese, you don't need a 2-pack.
Back in elementary, I thrived on misery. Left me alone, I grew up amongst a dying breed.
And this is 4 ounces, but I'm only using half of it. So I'm gonna use about 2 ounces in there. I'm making something else later, so that'll be a surprise for you for a different video. I'll go ahead and put that in, get it mixing up a little bit in there. Oh yeah. And then that butter is melted, so I'm gonna go in with that just a little bit at a time, just in case it got a little too hot. But that's perfect. As long as you leave it sitting in there for a little while, you're not gonna have to worry about it. But you just wanna make sure you get this all nice and smooth, and having that butter a little bit warm will help that cream cheese break down just a little. Now this Keto Chow already has the flavoring in it for the cake donut, and it's got some sweetness, but I'm gonna add some other ingredients in there too. So I'm gonna add a little more sweetness to this. So I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons. This is my granulated or my confectioner's sweetener that I make. And so just put in a couple tablespoons of that. And notice I'm not weighing anything. I don't have a scale. I'm not that fancy. So again, we're not building spacecraft for intergalactic travel. We're just making some donuts, baby. And I'm gonna put this to the side because we're gonna need this a little bit later on for some of the frosting. We're gonna make 2 different frostings, and one of them is my absolute favorite that I've ever done. Now I've got my heavy cream. I'm gonna go in with a 1/4 cup of heavy cream right in the mix. Just give that a nice little stir to combine it there. My next ingredient is a little bit of almond flour. I'm going in with 4 tablespoons of almond flour, or you can do a 1/4 cup. Either way. But since I just used my 1/4 cup for that heavy cream, I don't want to go sticking that down in my almond flour or anything. And then I got 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. That goes right in the mix. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in this keto chow. I am telling you right now, if you're not even making donuts and you just want a good complete meal, this stuff is absolutely delicious. And if you do that, there is nothing wrong with eating your dessert as a meal. And you'll know when you get it. It's the good stuff. So you can do these as a powdered donut too, just like on here. You can do anything you want with them, or just a good old classic cake donut. But we're gonna frost these. So I just wanna mix that up real nice. Get all that liquid incorporated in there and give it a little bit of whiskey business. Now the other 2 ingredients we're gonna put in is baking soda. So that's a big bag for just a 1/2 teaspoon, but hey, that's what I got. And the same with baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of that as well. Now let me show you this before I mix it. You want a nice thick batter like this, but that's a little too thick. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more heavy cream. You don't want a thin batter. This is a nice cake donut style, but maybe another tablespoon in there, and let's see how that looks. It needs to be nice and thick, but it's also gotta be thin enough where you can scoop it in those donut molds. So that's looking pretty good there. Still a little bit too thick for my liking, but so I'm gonna go in with 1 more tablespoon of heavy cream, approximately. I didn't measure that, obviously, as you saw. So I'll just work that in like that. Pretty happy with this. And so next, we'll put them in our little donut molds. Hey, and if you want to, you could even use some almond milk in here if you wanted to make it a little more thin. But now I'm just gonna take my spoon, and you only wanna fill these up about halfway because they're gonna rise a little bit. So you wanna make sure you get a nice rise out of them, so to speak. So I'm just gonna put these in the molds, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So I think the easiest way to do it is just to go in like this, and after it sits for just a couple minutes, it's not quite as sticky. So you can kind of just come around and make little donuts like that. And they're not perfect little donuts, but they're nice little donuts. They're protein-filled little donuts, and they are absolutely delicious. And if you don't like using your fingers, then come up with something your own self, a way that you want to do this. But for me, this is the easiest way to do it. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy with that. It looks good to me. I'm just gonna take them over to this 350-degree oven, put them in for about 18 minutes and check them after that, but they should be about perfect. So after 18 minutes, this is what they look like right here. You see that right there? They've puffed up over the top. These things look absolutely delicious. Now what we gotta do, we gotta let these cool right here for about 5 minutes. But I wanna make sure that these are done. Just gonna get a toothpick, put it down in the biggest one, make sure it comes out clean just like that. And if so, we're good to go. So after about 5 minutes, I'm just gonna take these out and put them right over here on this cooling rack. They should just pop right out. And now they're ugly on the top, but once you flip them over, let me show you what they look like. That is gonna be amazing. I need to figure out what kind of tool to get to make it completely smooth on top. Y'all leave me a comment down there if you know. Also leave me a comment about this apron. I'm not sure if I like this logo down that far or if I want to move it up a little bit, maybe. So let me know about that too. Now, I'm sure you've heard of a mug cake. I'm going to be making a mug icing. I've got my confectioner's sweetener blend, and I'll leave the video link for that up above and down in the description. But I'm just going to take a 1/4 cup of that right into this mug. And the first flavor I'm going to do and the first icing I'm going to do is going to be a maple glaze or a maple icing. So I'm just going to take a 1/4 of a teaspoon of maple to start with. I may up that a little bit. I'm just going to pour it right in there. And you can always taste this, and if it's not mapley enough for you, then just add in a little more. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Then I'm just going to get out my heavy cream again, and I'm going to add in maybe a teaspoon or two. You know, sometimes you just got to say fork it, right? I'm just going to mix this up with my fork. So this is my fancy little mug icing. So that's what that looks like if you can see it. Just like a nice little glaze. If you happen to get it too thin, don't worry. You can always add a little bit more sweetener in there to it. Now, the reason I got this plate, I'm going to take everything off here. I want this to be pretty pourable. So I'm just going to pour this right onto the plate like that. I'm going to make sure it's spread out pretty nice. Then I'm just going to take one of these donuts, flat side, drop it right on there, and I'm going to flip it over, put it back on the rack. Just take you a nice little knife, spread it out. I love these little silicone ones. But you can do it however you want. If you want more icing, you can always scale this recipe up a little bit. And this will go a whole lot further, but I just want a nice, pretty picture. You could actually do all 4 with this amount of icing. So this is going to be super sweet. So that's going to be mine. Oh man, that icing is delicious. I'm just telling you. Unless you're doing what I'm doing and making it for a video, you got enough icing with that recipe to do 4 of these. But I'm a little excessive there, right? 1/4 cup of my powdered sweetener. And then what I've got here is strawberry extract. So I'm going in with a 1/4 teaspoon of the strawberry extract. And then just for fun, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm going in with a drop of red food coloring. Oops, that was 2 drops. That's gonna be rough. And then just a little bit of heavy cream. You know, stir it all up. Oh yeah. That's a little more pink than I wanted, but that's okay. It's gonna be just fine. And then this one's more like an icing. So I'm gonna ice this one up proper. I cannot wait for this. I love these strawberry ones. Make sure you go and get your keto chow. I'll put the link right down below for this classic cake donut. I don't think it'll last long, but hopefully they'll keep it around. But let me give this a try right here. Oh man, let me just show you what this thing looks like. I mean, look at this bad boy right here. Is that not absolutely beautiful? The only thing better than that is how it tastes. Man, do not miss making these. As you can see, they were super easy and no pots and pans were harmed in the making of this video. And if you want some more awesome donut recipes, my chocolate donuts are right here. The apple cider ones are right here. Enjoy.